Welcome all to the session on data structure handling in Python. Now, when we say data structures in Python, it mainly includes three concepts, that is lists, tuples, and dictionaries. So in this session, we would be discussing mainly on the three objects, that is list, tuples, and dictionaries, its functions and methods. First, what is a list? A list is a data structure that is mutable. What do you mean by mutable? That is changeable. And it is an ordered sequence of elements. And list can hold any Python object. When I say any Python object, it can be integers or characters, floating point numbers, any kind of objects can be inserted into a list. And a list need not be homogeneous. That is, the elements of a list do not all have to be the same type. Just like say when we discussed about arrays, we say that arrays should contain similar elements. So if it is an array of integers, then I cannot include a characters. Similarly, if it's an array of characters, then I cannot include an integer there. But then lists is where I can, in one single list, I can have a integer as well as character. How do we create a list? We'll directly go to the demonstration and check out the different features, creation of list, and the methods, everything. So first thing is, how do we create a list? To create a list, simple method is within square brackets. That is, add the numbers or the elements within the square brackets, and then a list will be created. So if I give print L, a list is created. So by this, I'm making it clear, saying a list is nothing but the elements which are within the square brackets. Anything within the square brackets would be represented as a list. So this is a simple form of creating a list. You can even create a list using the function list. Okay, so even that is possible. But then this could be used when you're creating a list during a runtime or maybe in your programs. But of course, simple form is just give it within the square brackets. And as I've told you earlier, list need not be homogeneous. So then what do you mean by that? If I include numbers, I can even include characters in the list. If I give print L, this would give me the list with the combination of elements and characters. I can even have a nested list. What do you mean by nested list? A list within a list. So even this is possible. Now, how do you access the elements of the list? To access the elements of the list, we can directly give the index, that is, say L of 1. This would give me the element on that particular index. So that is 2 here. L of 1 is 2. Let me see what would it give me when it is L of 3. L of 3, it gave me the whole thing, that is 3 and 4, the whole list. Okay. So this is how we can retrieve the values in the list or items in the list. A simple way of doing it. You can also use input or eval input to allow the user to enter the items in the list. So this is one way of doing it again. And as I told you, list is similar to strings. So then we do have the functions or the methods which we had discussed in the strings are also applicable in the list. So if I want to do slicing, there's another thing. if I want to do slicing, then say if I give one, and I give print L of 2:5. So then what do you mean by L of 2:5? I want to retrieve the items starting from position 2 or the index 2 up till 5 excluding 5. So that is the elements at position 2, 3 and 4 will be retrieved. When I say 2, 3, 4, it will be 3, 4, 5 excluding the fifth element. So this slicing operation which we had discussed in strings is also possible in list. Similarly, the count and the plus and the star operators. Plus is used to concatenate two lists. Star is used to repeat the list. That is also possible. If I need to find the length of the list, then I can just give len of L, and that will give me the number of elements in the list. Now, first advantage of list over strings is it can be it need not be homogeneous, it can be heterogeneous set of elements. Another way, say suppose you want to find the average of this particular list. Now in a normal programming language, what do we do to find the average of the list? You get a for loop and you traverse the say if it's an array, you traverse the array and then get the sum of all the elements in an array and then divide by the total number of elements in an array, then that would give me the average. So it would take a minimum of 3 to 4 statements. But then in list, I have a simple way of doing it. So I'll say average equals, I can use a function sum of list. The sum of list would give me the sum of all the elements in the list divided by len of L. And then I give print average. So this is as simple as it is to get the average. Within 2 statements, I could get the average. You can of course reduce it to 1 statement also. Similarly, we do have functions min and max to find the minimum element in the list, to find the maximum element in the list. So if I want to find the minimum element, I would give minimum min of L. Min of L. You see what is see, minimum is 1. Similarly, maximum could also be used. Few more functions in the list to modify the list, to update the list, to remove an element from the list. Just remove this. See if I want to add an element to the list, so then I would give append. I'll give week. Then okay, one sec. Then it will give me the appended number. So when I say append, it would always append to the last position. If I want to append or if I want to not append, if I want to insert an element to a particular position, then I have a function insert. Insert, as it says, index and object. So I'll say where do I want to insert? I'll say 4. In the 4th position, I want to add number 10. So then it will give me 0, 1, 2, 3, On the fourth position, it adds the element 10. Let's say suppose I want to add a new list to the existing list. Then I have a function extend. I'll give a list here saying 9, 12, and then it adds the entire list to the existing list, that is at the end of the existing list. Now we have three functions here. One is append, one is insert, and extend. Append is to add the numbers to the end of the list. Insert requires two parameters. The first parameter is the index and the second parameter is the item which needs to be inserted, and it inserts the item to that particular position. And extend is to add an entire list to the existing list. So these are different ways of adding elements to the list. Now if I want to remove an item from the list, then I have a function remove an element. Say I'll give 10. Of course, I do not have an item 10 here. I'll give remove 5. Okay. 3, 4. So now you can see that the elements are removed. Now, say suppose I want to remove the last element. Say suppose if I give pop, there's another function pop. It removes the last element, that is 7. I can even give number. Say what if I give pop 3? Let us see what happens. List contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When I say pop 3, so what does 3 indicate here? 3 indicates the position of the element. So the item at the index position 3 will be removed. And if I do not give the position, then it will remove the last element. Okay. I do have another function for removing, that is the delete. Delete L of 1. Let's see what happens here. L is capital. I'm creating a list here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I have written a statement to delete L of 1. So what would it remove? Would it remove the element 1 or the character at position 1? Because it removes the character at position 1. If I say just del L, no. What has actually happened here is it removed the entire list. So that is why when I saying print, when I am giving a statement print L, it is giving me an error saying that L is not defined. Okay. So by this we say that there are again 3 ways of removing the elements in the list. One is remove of X. When we say remove of X, occurrence of X from the list. So what do you mean by first occurrence of the list? Say I have one more number 3 here, and then I give L dot remove of 3. So it removes the first occurrence of 3 in the list. We have another remove, that is pop of P. It removes the item at index position P. Okay. and this removes first occurrence of x. We have one more function, that is del, that is delete. It removes the element at that particular position. Okay, these are different ways of removing an item from the list. We can also have few more functions. So what does this give me? Of course, the function itself tells you that what could be the answer. It reverses the set of elements. We have more function, that is that. Let me change the list. It sorts the list. Okay, these are some of the functions pertaining to list. So remember that to sort a list L, you should just use L dot sort. You cannot reassign the sorted set of elements to a new list. This will not work. That is, L equals L dot sort will not work. So now there's a big difference between list methods and string methods. String methods do not change the original string, whereas we can change the original data. Earlier, that is what we say mutable. In the strings video, we had discussed that strings are immutable, and I also demonstrated what do you mean by immutable. The same goes with the list, but then it is mutable. So that means in the existing list, I can change an element. So how do I change an element? I'll say in L of 0th position, now currently at the L of 0th position, I have an element 10. I do not want 10. I'll say it is 1. So we can change it. And you can also see that before ID of L, once I change print ID of L. The strings concept, I had demonstrated that even though you're changing the string, that would be assigned to a different address. Let us see what happens here. See, as you can see here, even though I change the original list, it is assigned to the same address. So that means original list itself is changed. So that is a big difference between strings and list. Now, how do we traverse the list? Simple for loop. For I in L, print. Any idea what should we give in print? Okay. If I give print I, it gives me the list of elements. I can even give different way range of, you by now you would have understood what is the use of range function. Len of L. What will this give me? Let me check. Again. Now what was the difference here? When I give simply L, just the list, it will actually traverse the elements of the list. So for every iteration, I will be assigned with the new value of the list. But when I give the len of L within a range function, so that means when I give len of L, it is actually telling the number of elements. and that is nothing but the position here. So when I give range of L of L, it I holds the index position. So that is why we are giving L of I. Can demonstrate this. But if I just give I, it would give me the index position 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are different ways of traversing the list. So that's a basic introduction about the list and some of the methods in the list. Okay. Now tuple is again similar to list, and most of its functions are similar to list, but the major difference between tuples and list is it is an immutable list, whereas list is mutable and tuple is immutable. And I've already told you what is an immutable. And tuples are enclosed in parentheses. So I'll just delete this section and give a new section. So tuple is nothing but enclosed within the you can see that this is the class tuple. So indexing and slicing works the same as with the list. And again, you can use the length function, count, index methods, all those things can be used. But then there are some methods where you change the contents of the list, because list is mutable, you can obviously change the contents. Those set of methods cannot be used in the list, like sort or reverse that change the list cannot be used with tuples. And tuples, when I say list and tuples are almost same except the changeable and non-changeable concept, uh, tuples are most usually faster than the list. So that is where tuples can be used. So tuples are generally faster than the list. And why? Because the mutable concept or the mutable advantage of list is on the cost of its speed. Okay. So now you can see that if I give a list, it could obviously be converted into tuple. If I give tuple, now this 1, 2, 3 is nothing but the list. Yes, you could see that. See, this becomes a tuple. This is how we convert the list into tuple. Similarly, I can give a string and then it gets printed as a tuple. Okay. So that is how you can change. Another, the last concept in data structures, that is dictionaries. So dictionary is a more general version of a list. So here, list contains only elements. Okay. Say suppose if it is a very long list and say you have included the, say suppose I want to store the USN and the name of the student. Of course, I have to say I have to store only the USNs. Now if I keep on storing USNs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I do not actually know what is the name of the student with the USN 8. But then dictionary helps. How does dictionary helps in this matter? So in dictionary we have a key value pair. So dictionaries are always enclosed within the curly braces and it has a key value pair. We delete this and demonstrate the dictionary. So I will say D equals your student name A 1, student name B 2. This is nothing but the dictionary. a key value pair. LHS of the key, LHS of the colon is key and RHS is the value. You see, I just give type of B and that would show me that it's a dictionary, class dictionary. Okay. So by this, it is easy when compared to the list. So now I would know that the student with the name A is his USN number is 1. Similarly, I can also give like say 1 and then 1 colon A, 2 colon B. Even this is possible. And I can have any type of elements here. Say for the third part, I'll say C colon 4. So as a key, so this is the key and this is the value. As a key and value pair, you can have any set of elements. That is the most advantage of using a dictionary. And of course, the code is more readable here. We don't have to figure out what is the index position, what is its value, all those things. We already know that if I want to retrieve A, I can just give print D of 1. So that is nothing but say, if I give B of 1, it would give me the value. So remember here we do not have the index position as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here the position, or how do we retrieve the value of this A? With the key element. If I give C, it would give me the value pertaining to that particular key element. So first point is, to declare a dictionary, you just have to give a variable name and then enclose the items within curly braces, and that would get me a dictionary. There's another way of creating a dictionary, that is dict. This is an empty dictionary now. Okay, so this is one more way of creating a dictionary. So keys are often strings, but they can be integers, floats, and many other things as well. And you can mix different types of keys in the same dictionary and different types of values too. And of course, it is mutable. So if I give B of 1, currently B of 1 is A, but then instead of A, I'll give B and then print. Yes, it is mutable. You can change the values in a dictionary. And if I want to add a new item to the dictionary, say I'll give D of 4 is equal to B. Yes, the last element is appended to the list. And of course, I can delete an entry from a dictionary using the del operator, just like we had done in the list. And we can also copy a dictionary to an other dictionary using the copy method. So this is one more way of creating a dictionary. How do we retrieve the value? I just mentioned how can we retrieve the value. So traversing the dictionary, that is one more important concept of how do we traverse the dictionary. Let me give the same dictionary here. Okay. how do we traverse it? We delete this. Okay. So there are again various ways of traversing a dictionary. I can just give for X in D. Let me see what does it give. Because traversing dictionary, it is not just how you traversed in a list. There are various ways of doing it. When I give for X in D, so what does it actually traverses? It traverses the key elements, that is 1, 2 and C. But what if I want the value in a dictionary? If I want the value in the dictionary, then I have to give D of X. So for every iteration, D assigns the key value to X. So if I just print X, it will give me the key value in X. But when I give D of X, it would give me the value associated with the key elements. So that is AB4. There are few more ways. Say if I want to get just values, so what does it retrieve? X in D values. So every time 1A, 2B and 2C. Let me just check. No, D dot values itself. So 3 elements, 3 times. Now say D dot items. If I give print D dot items, oh sorry, correct. That's what I was thinking. What went wrong? D dot values print X. Okay. So now when I give for X in D dot values print of X, it gives me the values directly. So now every iteration, the values in that particular dictionary is stored in X and that is printed. If I give D dot items, what does it give? Let us check. It gives me a tuple 1, A, 2, B and C, 4. I can also retrieve a key value pair with this format. So their previous way you could get a tuple, but now this is not a tuple. It is just a key and the value associated with it. So these are different ways of traversing a dictionary. And I've already told you how to add an item, how to remove an item. And also, if I want to check whether an element is present in the dictionary, then I can just give in operator. In operator, just like how we have done it in strings, and the same would go with the list. We can also give it in the dictionary. So again, most of the functions would be similar to list, but then remember that lists contain only elements, whereas dictionary contains a key value pair, and each value is associated with the key element present in the dictionary itself. So you do not have an index position here, you have a key element, and using this key element you retrieve the value, and that is what makes the dictionary different from rest of the data structures. And by this I would conclude my brief session on lists, tuples and dictionaries. Thank you once again for listening.